everyone, welcome to part 2 of our bookshelf tour. Since many of you asked for me to follow up with a tour of my contemporary fiction section, I'm skipping the, well, I call it the pretty books section, which basically has like Penguin cloth-bound classics and Q-turn classics. I'm going to show you that in the next video. If we do record another one, I'm going to show you these and these, because here we have like poetry and it's mostly classic poetry. Yeah, up to the 19th century, and then we have some Virginia Woolf as well. So yeah, let's take a look at this. I don't really have that many contemporary books when I come to think of it. I do have a lot of ebooks, which is something I've already addressed with you before. So in the top shelf here, I actually have some children's classics and YA fiction, I guess. I do have some YA here as well, but here is more like romance things. So let me try to tilt the camera so that you can have a look. There they are. So let me zoom in, because I'm not taking those out. You will see that there's some Harry Potter, because, well, I already had the books before the controversy and the whole thing, so I'm not throwing my books away. They meant a lot to me at one point in my life. We have the Divergent series right there. We have Hunger Games. There's other series by Suzanne Collins and some random ones. I can show you those in detail later if you do want to see any of them. Let me try to zoom in a bit more. So we have a Mary Poppins Funko there and some Friends, I don't know, collectibles. So okay, that's it. Here you have this weird little chap, which I purchased in an Oxfam in Norwich, actually, which is a bit random. So we're back. We're still zoomed in. So let me just okay, so you saw this shelf. Let's move on to this one with the little cat that I got at Oxfam. Okay, so I usually keep my Irish books here. Some of you who have followed me for a while might know that I wrote about Anna Burns in my PhD thesis. So I was writing about the Troubles, so there are some books about the Troubles here. A lot of my materials were actually ebooks, especially considering that I was writing during the pandemic and it was really, really hard importing books, basically. Funnily enough, it's even harder now. Anyway, not going into that. So let me go back here. Can you still see me? Maybe I can turn it just a bit to the side. Yeah. Okay, so here we have Snowflake by Louise Nealon. Not sure if you are aware of this one. Nora Webster by Colin Tobin, which is set in the same universe as Brooklyn. It's not the same, I mean, it's not exactly the same characters, but the characters from Brooklyn get mentioned here. I actually read this before I read Brooklyn. Hamnet. So my edition of Hamnet is the Waterstones exclusive edition. So it's signed by Maggie O'Farrell. We do have an adaptation of Hamnet that's being produced, and we'll have Paul Mescal as Shakespeare and Jessie Buckley as Anne Hathaway. Well, Agnes is the name of the character, but she's, well, this fictional representation of Anne Hathaway. And Joe Alwyn apparently has been cast as well. I haven't really read the article, I just saw something on Twitter. So yeah, I don't know who he's playing, but those are the names I'm aware of. So let me, this got caught up. Okay, this one is a book of essays. Here, an anthology of modern Irish writing. I actually used an essay by Eve Patton that was published here in my thesis. And she's talking about fiction on the Troubles by women and the kind of conventions and traditions that had been kind of running up to this point. Of course, this is like 86 to 96, so things changed a lot since then, but it was important for me to like revisit. Making Peace with the Past, Memory, Trauma, and the Irish Troubles by Graham Dawson, another fundamental reference for me. See, it's all marked up. So yeah, this was very, very important for like establishing a theoretical basis for my thesis. Deconstructing the North by Elma Kennedy Andrews, fiction and the Northern Ireland Trouble since 1969, sorry. And again, another very, if you want to study the Troubles and if you want to look at like fiction that was concerned with the Troubles, you should definitely read this. Of course, Irish writers are still writing about the Troubles and reimagining the world of the Troubles, the Ireland of the Troubles. But I think it's also important to see what people were writing throughout, what people were writing during the peace process, negotiations. Oh, you'll have to wait a minute, sorry. Okay, we're back. Sorry for that. So we were taking a look at Elmer Kennedy Andrews, Deconstructing the North, fiction, and the Northern Ireland Troubles since 1969. Let's move on to the next one. So here we have some fiction, but I think we still have one more that I actually added to the end. So let's take a look at this one before we move on to like fiction. We have actually two more. So I try to organize them alphabetically, but sometimes it just turns a bit haphazard. Anyway, this is After Ireland, Writing the Nation from Beckett to the Present by Declan Kibbard. I haven't read the whole thing yet. I actually bought this after I finished my thesis. I got this at Waterstones. As you can see, it was being remanded, so it was $8.99, which is an excellent price for a book such as this. So I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it's really, really good. Okay, I think I'll just put it back where it was, and then I'll just reorganize this shelf. And then there's Getting to Good Friday, Literature and the Peace Process in Northern Ireland by Marilyn Richterick, which is a brilliant one. This I got, I think, a few months after I finished my thesis. So it's not really in my thesis, but it's such a great book. And she already kind of opens with a discussion of Lucy Caldwell, which for me is brilliant. I didn't write about Lucy in my thesis, but I did mention her a lot. Yeah. Okay, so let's put this here, and there are two more. Yeah, I actually do have a few, don't I? Books, academic books, printed editions. Okay, Irish Women, Image and Achievement. This one was also for my thesis. I think I got this. Where was it? It was a second-hand bookshop. I can't remember for sure. I think it was through 8 Books probably. That's why I can't remember. Literature and Culture in Northern Ireland since 1965, Moments of Danger by Richard Kirkland. I actually used a lot of his essays and articles as references in my thesis as well. So yeah, I think that does it, right? I put them here and then reorganize everything. So I have this Spanish edition of Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney. And I haven't read the whole thing yet. I do want to, because I have been trying to speak more in Spanish and in French, which are languages that I'm not as proficient as I am in English. So I have been trying to like make myself talk in public more. So maybe I'll read the whole thing, maybe I'll read out loud for myself. So yeah, that's the only one I have like a printed edition of, but I do have Normal People in Spanish as well. This is probably the oldest book in this shelf, I think so. The Oxford Book of Irish Short Stories, edited by William Trevor. I actually got this when I was doing my master's, so I wasn't even thinking about writing about Anna Burns yet. When I actually saw this getting recommended in a Facebook group that I was a part of. It was like a book club at a university somewhere. They always had great book recommendations, and I actually found this in some marketplace in Brazil, which was amazing. So yeah, brilliant. I do have another book of short stories at the other end of the shelf, which I'm going to show to you. Milkman by Anna Burns. This is a special edition by Faber. They actually released this and Sylvia Plath, The Bell Jar, I think. It was something by Sylvia Plath. I think it was The Bell Jar. It was The Bell Jar. I wasn't sure if it was like The Bell Jar or poetry, but it was The Bell Jar. It's a red edition. So this is actually gorgeous, right? Anna Burns is the author of my life. I'll love many authors for as long as I live, but no one will have an impact on me in quite the same way that Anna did. So I read Milkman in 2018 at a time where everybody was posting about it on Instagram. Instagram was very different at the time, so people who were like book bloggers still posted a lot of photos, and I guess that's my cat being chaotic. And I guess the cover of Milkman is very aesthetically pleasing, although it's what maybe some would call a bit of a difficult book, although I think that's a bit problematic. But anyway, and I read it and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And then I went to the UK in 2019, and on my way back, I listened to the audiobook of Milkman on my way back, and it was so special. I was obsessed with it, and actually my advisor at the time, I was finishing my dissertation, because here in Brazil your master's actually has a duration of like 24 months. It's not like it is in some of the places where it's just a year and you can just like have a 3-year long undergraduate course and one more for your master's. Here you have to do like all 4 years and then another 2 for the master's, so it's a longer like commitment. So I was finishing my dissertation at the time when I came back, and he said, look, if you like this so much, maybe you should research it for your PhD. And Anna really stayed with me throughout the pandemic, and it was grounding having my thesis to write during this time. Anyway, I have a signed edition which I got in that trip, right, in 2019, which was my last trip until the end of the pandemic. Wow. So yeah, it was very intense and memorable. And yeah, this is a signed edition that I got at Foyles. They had just released the paperback edition, so I have it with Anna's signature. Brilliant. And it is a beautiful cover, isn't it? But I like the special edition as well. Okay, so let's continue, because we were going from that. So I will probably reorganize this, because I try to keep like hardbacks on this side and paperbacks more to this side, but it's not really working much, is it? Anyway, Big Girl, Small Town, another brilliant book. So a lot of the best books don't really become hyped up books. I don't remember there being a lot of hype for this, but this is absolutely brilliant. Michelle Garland is a genius, honestly. So the thing that drew me to this when it came out was the blurb by Sinead Moriarty, Milkman Meets Dairy Girls, a cracking read. And I was like, okay, I need to read this, Milkman Meets Dairy Girls. And obviously it is a book that is concerned with the Troubles, although this is not set during the Troubles. And another amazing cover, right? Okay. Next one is Trespassers by Louise Kennedy. Yeah, it's not alphabetically organized at all, is it? I guess you couldn't really see the books that were up there, right? I should tilt this, perhaps? Yeah, I'll just take them out. Sorry if you haven't seen all of them. Yeah. Chaos! Okay. Trespassers by Louise Kennedy. I actually heard the audiobook before I actually read it. I think this was like book at bedtime at BBC Radio, so it was like an abridged edition. And then I got this special edition, which is also signed, and it's green. I think the, I don't know, standard cover is actually yellow. I forgot the name, Kenny's Bookshop. I got this at Kenny's Bookshop, which is in Ireland, and it was like an edition that was exclusive to Kenny's Bookshop. Another excellent cover, right? Anne Wright, actress. I love Anne Wright. I wish I had all of her books in printed editions because she's such a great writer. But I think this is the only one that I actually have. This is also signed by the author, and I really like this one. It's based on some real people, but it's like a fictionalized account. So this is the story of Irish theatre legend Catherine O'Dell, as written by her daughter Nora. It tells of early stardom in Hollywood, of highs and lows on the stages of Dublin and London's West End. Catherine's life is a grand performance, with young Nora watching from the wings, and I love this photo. So, brilliant book. You should definitely check it out. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. So let's move on to the next book. So, we have our Sally Rooney section here, and there's some more Sally Rooney paperback, but my paperbacks are not signed, so it's not as cool as the hardbacks. So let's go for Beautiful World, Where Are You first. This is the American edition, so it's not special at all because it's not signed or anything. Yeah. Let me show you the American and the standard British edition side by side. So you can see that even like this, like the British edition's a bit prettier. Let me show you the back. See? So this is the American, this is the British. Yeah, the paper, I don't know. I just like this one better, I guess, but I wanted to have the American edition as well because I have the American edition of Normal People. So I'll have to stay here, American. So let me show you my 3 editions in hardback, and yeah, I'll just show you my paperback edition as well. They released this last year, so it's really, it was very popular on social media because it has this like effect thing. So I don't like books that have this thing here. What is this? I think it's really weird. The cover is a bit shorter. I don't really like it at all, but it was a cute edition, so I got it. But I try to avoid paperbacks that look like this. Yeah, just put it back later. So I have 3 hardbacks. So one of them is yellow. The thing is, this one is the Indie Bookshop edition that I got at West End Lane Books. So the color scheme is kind of inverted here. And this is signed by Sally, is it? Yeah. So this is, I'm going to show each of them to you. So this is signed by Sally Rooney. And here's a, so you can see I wasn't wrong, West End Lane Books. So this is a signed Indie Bookshop exclusive edition. And then we have this one, which is Waterstones edition, which includes an exclusive short story called Her. And I got this at the pre-sale. I pre-ordered it as soon as it came up. I think it was announced like in January 2022, and then it came out in September. I'm not sure, but I think that was it. And this is signed as well. And then Foils had this thing where you could pre-order and you would get a poster of the characters. I wish I had the poster framed right now. I used to have it on my wall, but I kept it somewhere else. I stashed it there, I think. I can show you later. But yeah, I wanted the poster. And it was almost like a raffle kind of thing where you could or you could not get a signed edition. And I actually lucked out and got a signed edition. So yes, I have 3 signed editions of Beautiful World, Where Are You? Which I think is really cool. And I love each of them in its own way. So for Intermezzo, I didn't splash out quite as much. I only ordered 1 edition, signed obviously, but like, I don't know. So I am very critical of the whole capitalistic thing in promoting Sally Rooney, but I got a bit caught up in that if you stop to think about that, because I got 3 signed Sally Rooney editions and I'm not even one of those people who want to sell them, so yeah. So these are my paperbacks of Conversations with Friends, oh god, and sorry, Conversations with Friends and Normal People. Normal People is signed. I got this at the same trip that I got my Milkman signed. So it was when Normal People was coming out in paperback, so May 2019, thereabouts. So this is signed by Sally as well. Conversations with Friends is not, alas, but nevertheless a very cute edition. Let me put them back. And I do have a few more Sally Rooney's here. I'm going to show you the American edition, and then we have Normal People, the Waterstones exclusive. A lot of notes here. It is a gorgeous edition. It's like how, I mean, it's the original cover, but it was a Waterstones exclusive that I also got in 2019, so it kind of reflects the light. It's not signed, but it's still very special because you can see it's not a jacket, it's like a hardcover that's actually like a hardcover, like the cover itself looks like this, so it's not a paper jacket. Very special edition. Conversations with Friends in hardback. I don't really have the British edition in hardback. I only have the American one, which I find a bit ugly, to be honest. This almost looks like, yeah, I'm not going to be too mean, but I don't like this cover at all. And then I have Normal People in the American edition, which is not too bad. I actually like this a bit. Not as great as the other one, the original one, which is iconic. And I have a pen of Normal People somewhere around here, but I don't think I'll be able to find it right now. But I got it at the London Review of Books, the London Review, oh, it's here, the London Review Bookshop, when I got that signed edition, because Sally was doing an event with them at the time, so I got, yeah, the signed edition and the pin. So, Nisha Dolan, Exciting Times. I really liked Exciting Times, and then I got The Happy Couple, but I haven't read The Happy Couple yet, so, but yeah, going to read it at some point. But I really recommend Exciting Times. She's compared to Sally quite often. I don't think they're much alike at all, but yeah, maybe if you read Sally Rooney you might enjoy this, but they're very different. So I'm very proud to own an edition of this one. I was talking about the Troubles and books that were written during the Troubles and whatnot. Frances Molloy's No Mate for the Magpie is a classic. It was written in the 80s, and I feel that she's a major influence for Anna Burns, 85. So she's a major influence for Anna Burns. So I really recommend this one if you're interested in like fiction on the Troubles. And then Where They Were Missed by Lucy Caldwell. I'm a huge fan of Lucy Caldwell's. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably heard me talking about her at some point. This was the first novel by Lucy that I actually read for my thesis, and that's where I became a fan. So yeah, a lot of bookmarks and stuff. Yeah, big fan of Lucy's. So it is a brilliant story about these children yeah, about how children got caught up between the kind of division lines in Ireland between, well, religions and whatnot. So it's a really great story. These Days by Lucy, signed edition. This is actually a World War II story. It's like a historical novel. Really, really good. Lucy does that really well. She's a big fan of like war writers, World War II writers, like Elizabeth Bowen and whatnot. So I think you really feel that their influence when she writes historical fiction. This is also by Lucy, as you can see. It's her most recent collection. So I got this at No Alibis bookshop at Belfast, and I got a tote bag with it. And this is a limited numbered edition. So mine is 25, as you can see, also signed by Lucy. And I also got this one, which I think I showed you in my book haul video. My most recent one, which is also signed by Lucy. I got it at the event that she did in Cambridge, Waterstones Cambridge, which is very lovely and has a dedication. And then we have by Lucy as well, so get ready for a lot of Lucy. I got this edition of All the Beggars Writing recently at Waterstones Gower Street because I had it on ebook only. I have this one, Multitudes, which is maybe my favorite collection. I love all of her short story collections, but this one is really, really special. And also, look at this beautiful cover. And then we have Intimacies, which this is a really cute story as well. I got this during the pandemic and at a West End Lane Books, and they were selling the signed edition, but they sold out. And then they emailed me saying, look, it's sold out. Do you still want the book, or sorry? And I said, yeah, no, sure, still want the book. It's fine. And at this time, Lucy was like sending out book plates for some of her readers on Twitter, and I explained the situation for her, and she sent me a book plate, which is like, yeah, she's this really, really kind and lovely and amazing person, besides being a brilliant writer. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Lucy Caldwell, as you can see. So we finished Lucy Caldwell's section. Claire Keegan, Small Things Like These. So we are actually having this, sorry. So this is actually getting adapted, right? Everyone's talking about it now because Cillian Murphy is attached to the project, but this is such a brilliant book. And actually, I might write something about this because of the Dickens connection. So yeah, I'm starting it today. Okay, Brooklyn. This is like a movie tie-in edition, which I usually don't like when they put the poster on the cover, but I really like Saoirse Ronan, and it's fine. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Now a major motion picture. Okay, and funnily enough, my edition of Ian McEwan's On Chesil Beach also has Saoirse in the cover. And I do have an edition of Little Women that has Saoirse in the cover. Cool. Okay, this one I'm going to show you close up because it's such a gorgeous edition, right? I remember people were talking a lot about this on social media a few years ago, and I actually got it because I was curious, and it's such a brilliant I don't know even how to refer to it. It's a hybrid of like essay and fiction. Yeah, that's exactly what it says here. Art and shape-shifting, a hybrid of essay, biography, autofiction, scholarship. So it's really hard to explain, but I would definitely recommend it. So back to Anna Burns. So here are the Sally Rooney's I've already showed you. So I think I have to tilt it even more, even further. Yeah. So here are the Sally Rooney's I showed you, and here two novels by Anna Burns. So This is No Bones. It might be my favorite, but obviously Milkman is my favorite. I don't know, I just know this is really, really special to me. And Little Constructions, I love Little Constructions as well. I wrote about all three of them in my thesis, although Milkman lies at the center. So yeah, if you can get your hands on these, please do. And then we have the Playboy of the Western World, Another Place. I actually got this because of Anna, because this play gets mentioned in Milkman, so I wanted to read it, and it's an Oxford World's Classics edition. Although it is one of the older ones, they completely redesigned since this, but I love this. I got this at a second-hand bookshop in London, I don't remember which one. And then we have these Faber editions of stories, Faber stories. So, Mostly Hero by Anna. We have Mouthpieces by Emer McBride. And we have Mr. Salary by Sally. So, they used to have these everywhere, like at the counter at Waterstone and Foyles and whatnot. So you couldn't really escape them. Okay, and I think that's it. So let's move on to the next shelf, which will be easier, I think, because it's here, so I don't have to tilt the camera so much. Okay, so here I try to organize these alphabetically, and I think I'm a bit more successful at that with these shelves than I was with the Irish one. So let's take a look. These are novels, usually. Some of them are not. They mostly are. You have the odd collection of poetry and whatnot, but most of the books from here to here are novels. So, Yomi Adegoke, The List. I really like this one. I saw that some people were upset with the twist at the end, I guess, but I really liked it. It's a brilliant, analysis of our relationship with social media and, of needing to have an opinion instantaneously without thinking about, I don't know, the complexity of the situation. Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton, which is one of my favorite writers. This is a signed copy. Let me show you a bit in close up. Here, October 2022. I also I don't think I have I do have a paperback edition of Everything I Know About Love, but it's not here right now. But good material. This one is also signed, but I actually heard it on audiobook first, and I would really recommend it. It's Vanessa Kirby and Arthur Darvill. Arthur narrates most of the book because it's told from his character's perspective. Really brilliant, and I love the cover. Okay, and Ghosts. Ghosts was her first novel, and this is really special to me because I got this at Dump Books, and it was during the pandemic, and I was feeling very isolated, and this is actually a signed edition with a dedication. And I don't know, something about it made me very emotional at a time where it seemed as though the world would never become normal in any kind of way anymore. Of course it didn't for a lot of people. Anyway, Chimamanda Americana. I think this is a modern classic already, and I actually taught a few classes with this also during the pandemic, so I needed an actual print edition of it. Monica Ali, Love Marriage. She's the author of Brick Lane, which is another modern classic. I haven't actually read this yet. There are so many books that I pre-order but then don't manage to read right away, and then things kind of pile on. But look at this. I mean, when we talk about sprayed edges, that's what we're talking about. I really like this one. Salt Water by Jessica Andrews. This was her first novel. This was her debut. I actually got this at an event in 2019 at Waterstone's Gower Street, which was like a showcase with authors that were debuting, and I really liked the premise. So I ordered this at Amazon later because I had no more room in my bag, so I didn't buy the book that day. So I got it at Amazon later, and look at this. Look at this, very distressing. And here, and Amazon didn't even bother to reply to any of my emails about it. So, Character Breakdown by Zoe Ashton. This is actually like a memoir. I love her. She's a brilliant actor. I liked her work since Fresh Meat, probably. And this is a collection of poems by Margaret Atwood Daly, also signed by the author. Then we have The Testaments, which is also signed. I don't know if you remember, but if you were there, you will know that it was completely unhinged. So like, when this was coming out, because it was book 2 of The Handmaid's Tale, and it was like that kind of raffle system. I didn't know if I was getting a signed book or not until it actually came in the mail, but I did, which I think is really cool. Anyway, Burning Questions by Margaret. I actually do have quite a few books by Margaret Atwood, don't I? Old Babes in the Wood, also a signed edition. This is a short story collection. Small Worlds by Caleb Azuma Nelson, brilliant author. I actually saw him in an event with Brendan Taylor. Both really cool authors, really cool writers. I do have Brendan Taylor's book here somewhere. Yeah, here. Well, he doesn't have only one book, but anyway. These were the books they were promoting at the time. Caleb was actually interviewing Brendan for this particular event, but yeah, really cool. And I don't really have his following book in a print edition, but I do have it in my Kindle. Big Swiss. So Big Swiss was like my favorite read in 2023. I was so obsessed with this book, and I feel that people did not talk about it enough. So maybe when the adaptation comes out, because at first they said that Jodie Comer would be in it, and then she wasn't, and then I heard nothing more about it, so I guess I'll just have to Google it. But look at this. Again, sprayed edges art. And that brilliant cover. She's an American, but I like the British edition a lot more again. This is a signed edition of The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. Let me show it to you. Cool. You probably read this, right? This is like, I think this will go on to become a modern classic as well. Terrible Kindness by Joe Browning Rowe. This was very popular when it came out. Sprayed edges. This is very popular when it came out. It's like a historical novel. And it was actually the author's debut, and if I'm not mistaken, she was in her 50s, which I think is so cool, because whenever you hear about people debuting, it's usually like people in their 20s, and I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot of incentive going on for people who like want to start writing but aren't really, really young. And oftentimes people can't really dedicate themselves to their craft when they are young because they have to work. Anyway, just a few thoughts. PT Party. This is actually a recent one. I got this at my latest trip to London. I got this at Book Bar. It's signed by the author. Completely obsessed with it. I don't like the ending as much as I hoped I would. I actually have another book by Daisy that's in my room because it's titled Limelight, because I got that last year and I hadn't read it yet, but I really enjoyed PT Party, so I decided to pick it up. Okay, Queenie. So this is a special edition that has sprayed edges and it's signed. And this is also a special edition. Oh my god, the signed by the author sticker just fell out. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm not like putting it back, but it has left a stain. This was like a summer edition. It was promoted as a summer edition of Queenie. When the book first came out, it was available in blue, if I'm not mistaken, pink, and I think orange. I don't have any of those standard editions, but I do have 2 special ones, so yeah, it tracks. People Person by Candice as well. I think we are getting an adaptation of this. We already have an adaptation of Queenie, and she also wrote the show Champion, which I think is available on iPlayer in the UK and on Netflix in most of other countries. Another signed edition, and this is a book that she wrote. I think it's YA, but I haven't read it yet, but I wanted to have all of Candice's books. Misfits by Michaela Cole, a personal manifesto. This was actually a book that she wrote inspired, after her McTaggart lecture. So I usually read this with my students because it's such a special book. Anyway, okay. Daisy May Cooper. This is actually a memoir as well. I'm a big fan of Daisy May Cooper. I was actually obsessed with This Country, the show that she wrote and starred in. I would laugh and to the point where my belly would hurt. So I think she's a comedic genius. I haven't really read the memoir yet, but it was a signed edition. So I do have books that I haven't read yet. They're in my shelves. But I think it makes sense, if you want a signed edition, you won't read it at that time, but you will read it at some point, and you'll be happy that you can just pick it off the shelf. The Frozen River, Seeking Silence in the Himalaya by James Crowden. I haven't read it yet, but it is a beautiful edition, isn't it? Anyway, The Pickup by Hannah Doyle. I actually recorded a TikTok about this one. I was going to record something for YouTube, but it was 3 minutes long, so too long for a short video and too short for an actual video, I guess. But it's romance fiction. It's brilliant, and I would really recommend it. Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This is one of the treasures of my bookshelves because it's a signed edition by Bernardine. It came out, this specific edition came out soon after she won the Booker in 2019. It was 19, I think. Yeah, 19. So it's a signed edition, a very special one. I also have her manifesto in a signed copy. And then we have Edward Anningfield, A Visible Man, also a memoir. I saw him and Bernardine in the Manchester Book Festival. I think that's Manchester Book Festival, Literature Festival. Anyway, I went all the way to Manchester. It was my first time in Manchester, and I went there specifically for this, to see Bernardine and Edward, and it was so amazing. It was completely worth it. I nearly didn't make it because of Avanti West Coast, but I did. Tom Felton, Beyond the Wand. I think this is signed as well, yeah, and dedicated. I got this at West End Lane Books, so yeah. Okay, and he narrates his own audiobook, which is really entertaining. This is a collection of poems by Caleb Femi. He's probably my favorite contemporary poet. I would really recommend it. I usually read this with my students. It's titled Poor. The Promise by Damon Galgut. This one got the Booker in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. This is a signed copy. I actually saw Damon the following year at the London Literature Festival in a conversation with Shihan Karunatilaka, who actually won the following Booker. And I have, yeah, it's right here, The Seven Moons of Molly Almeida. Both these books were read in our book club here. So, yeah. Mr. by Guy Gunnaratney. I actually wrote about this in a paper. It has a lot of references to Dickens, so yeah. But it is a really provoking and, thought-provoking and engaging story. I really liked their first novel as well, In Our Mad and Furious City, but I don't have a print copy of that. Yagasi, Homegoing, also a book club pick, brilliant book. Tessa Hadley, After the Funeral. Tessa Hadley is a master of the short story. Unfortunately, I felt that some of these were a bit problematic. I'm not going to specify how. I did enjoy some of them were a bit for me. But yeah, she's definitely a very skilled writer. Other People Managed by Ellen Hawley, signed copy. I bought this knowing nothing about the author or about the story, just because I felt that the title was really like interesting and the cover was beautiful, and I ended up enjoying it so much. It's about love and mental health. These two women are in a relationship, and one of them is being stalked by this other person, this other woman, and she has some really disturbing behaviors. Really good, actually, really entertaining read. Some people take issue with this novel, but I really enjoyed it. I actually got this on audiobook as well. This is a special edition of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Look at this gorgeous beauty, and it's signed by the author. I really love this novel. I don't really actually know what the author has been up to since. Has she published more stuff? I have to look that up. But yeah, I love this so much. It's one of the most beautiful books that I own. Okay, so Lowborn by Carrie Hudson. This is also a memoir talking about poverty, growing up, getting away, and returning to Britain's poorest town. So it's also like a sociological study. Carrie is such a brilliant researcher and writer in the way that she shares her own experience, but also takes a bird's eye view of the issue. And then we have Clara and the Sun by Ishiguro. This is such a beautiful book, and we actually have a poster of this somewhere here in my house, but look at this. Anyway, they are producing an adaptation, sprayed edges with the sun right here. It's a dystopia. They are filming an adaptation, and I can't remember anything about the cast. Jenna Ortega is in it, I think, and actually, fun fact, Cillian Murphy's son is in it. It's like his debut project, so looking forward to that. Marlon James, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, such a brilliant, challenging book, and this is a signed copy. And this is book 2, Moon Witch, Spider King. Both of them are signed. I'm a big fan of Marlon James, Jamaican author. This is, again, it can be challenging. Maybe you should read a bit more about the book before you actually start reading it, see if you are comfortable with it. But I really personally enjoyed it. The Seven Moons of Marley Almeida, I mentioned this briefly. I got this at the event that I mentioned at the London Literature Festival. So it's signed. So let's move on to the next shelf. Do we have time? Yeah, we do. So let me see if you can see me. I think you can. So here, this is Going to Hurt from Adam Cates. This was actually adapted as well for TV. So I have 2 of the Nausgard books that I got in 2017, I think. So a million years ago. One of them is signed. I actually I'm not really a big fan of the author anymore. But anyway. Luster by Raven Lilani. Also a book club read. Close to Home by Michael McGee. Such a brilliant novel. It's also about the Troubles, although it's not set during the Troubles, but about the trauma of the Troubles and this young man growing up in the middle of all of that. So this is a book set, right? Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall, Bring Up the Bodies, and The Mirror in the Light. I was obsessed with this box set, and I really wanted it, although I already had some of the books. So yeah, look at this. Honestly, it's just too beautiful. I can't. But I do have The Mirror and the Light in the exact same edition, signed by Hilary. So I'll show it to you. Where is it? Which, it's such an honor having a signed Hilary Mantel. I think they're adapting these, I'm not sure. I think they'll be very popular. The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi, signed by the author. This was actually published, I think, in America under a different title. Circe by Madeline Miller. Not everyone is a fan of Madeline. I've recently heard people say very disparaging things about her fiction. Personally, I am a fan. Now We Shall Be Entirely Free. This was Book of the Month at Waterstones, I think in May 2019, and I thought the title seemed interesting, so I went with it. Convenience Store Woman. I actually have Earthlings is right here, because this is like my to be read pile in the bookshelf. Jojo Moyes, Me Before You, and The Giver of Stars. And then we have Bowie's books by John O'Connell, which is not fiction, but it's here. I do have some books on Bowie, they're that way, so maybe this should be with them, I'm not sure. The Fletcher, I got this as soon as it came out, and it's a signed edition. At this time, Beth O'Leary was not as popular as she is today. I'm very happy that she is, though. She really deserves it. This was actually adapted for TV with Jessica Findlay Brown. Weather by Jenny Offill. Look at this cover. Black and British by David Olusoga. This is such a brilliant study of like recuperating history that's been hidden or not preserved properly, so I would really recommend it. Page Boy, Elliot Page's memoir, signed copy of which I am very proud. Then my Max Porter section, so we have The Death of Francis Bacon, brilliant. I mean, all of his novels are experimental in some way. He's like Alice Smith in that way. And this is definitely one of my favorites. I think this is signed, is it? It is, by Max Porter. Grief is the Thing with Feathers, which was his debut. It was actually also adapted for the theatre, wasn't it? Which is easy because it's like lines. And Cillian Murphy played the main character. Lenny, I was obsessed with Lenny in 20 something, I think it was 2019, I'm not sure, but I have 3 editions of Lenny. It was a very popular book as well. Oh, please don't fall. So I'm gonna show them here. So paperback, special edition, and the first edition. So yeah, Len is probably my favorite, comes to think of it. I haven't read Shy yet, because I meant to read this with a friend, and we haven't really got to like set a date. But yeah, The Overstory by Richard Powers. I think this was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. I think it got a Pulitzer or something. Yeah, great book. The Revenant, I don't know why I bought this. I didn't like the film much, but I still got this. Really strange. Anyway, The Godfather, this was actually my mom's. So this is probably the oldest book here. She gifted it to me, and I really like how he's lived in. Anyway, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. This was her debut. I haven't read her new novel yet, but I loved this. Also something we read in our book club. This is like a novelization of Sanditon, not the Jane Austen book, but of the first season of the show, which is fun, I guess. Camilla Shamsi, Home Fire. I've written about this very poignant novel. Best of Friends, I haven't read yet, but it's signed, and I'm a big fan of Camilla's. Romantic comedy. This book was so fun. I've heard people saying bad things about this, which is unhinged to me. I have only good things to say about this. It's such good fun. There's this writer, she works in a show that is obviously meant to be Saturday Night Live, and she gets in a relationship with this guy who is a pop star during the pandemic. It's really unhinged, but I love it. Anyway, good fun. This is Winter by Alice Smith. This is the American edition, and this is the British edition. As you can see, again, the British edition is just superior. Let me put the American back, and I actually have her quartet, like Autumn and Winter, and then Please Don't Fall, Spring and Summer, and most of them are signed. I think only Summer is not. And then we have Companion Piece, which is gorgeous as well, also signed. Big fan of Alice Smith. I actually have How to Be Both, hardback and paperback. We also read this in our book club. It was really, really fun seeing people's, because this is a novel that is told from two different perspectives, but it's like a contemporary girl who has just lost her mom, and this painter, this Renaissance painter. Anyway, this is actually like a book about fashion, about Victorian fashion. It's not, yeah. Okay, so we're getting to the end of it now. So here we have Douglas Stewart's Shuggie Bain. This book is heartbreaking. It really, really broke my heart. I think this was actually his debut, which is really impressive. It was shortlisted for the Booker. This is a signed edition and also an amazing cover. But you should definitely read it. He's such an amazing writer. Because imagine this being your debut. So it's the story of this boy who is constantly suffering from like structural poverty, and also his mom deals with addiction, and she deals with alcoholism, and well, they struggle a lot with that. So it's the story of this boy Shuggie and his siblings, and also he has a very abusive dad, which doesn't help at all. His second book is Young Mungo, which is also brilliant, and it has this amazing cover. Let me see if I can tilt it a bit, just a little bit. Yeah, can see me better now, I think. Free Women by Lisa Taddeo. This is a signed edition. I actually have two for some reason, but this was actually adapted, I think, by Showtime, and then they weren't running it for some reason. Anyway, there's an adaptation. I don't know where you can find it. Maybe it's on TV. I remember there was some drama regarding that. The Late Americans by Brendan Taylor. Brilliant author, brilliant social media personality, brilliant newsletter author as well. Adults by Emma Jane Unsworth. This is also a really fun book. Very reflexive of our times. Darcy, don't. He wants to bite into the mic. He has this thing with my mic. Anyway, The Fraud by Zadie Smith. I talked a lot about this. I think I showed you this one in my book haul. So yeah, hardback, paperback, both signed. I'm currently finishing an article about this, which is a historical fiction on William Harrison Ainsworth's housekeeper, and it has a cast of famous characters, famous Victorians, eminent Victorians, of which the most famous one is, of course, Charles Dickens. Square Haunting, also not a fiction book. Filth by Irvine Welsh. There's a film adaptation starring James McAvoy, if you're curious. Colson Whitehead, Harlan Shuffle. Something happened to this book during like shipping process, because look at this. These things really piss me off. But anyway, focus here, please. Yeah, see? Anyway, and then At the Pond, I think I talked about this as well. The Dawn Books has a collection of these little collections of essays on specific themes, like at the kitchen, at the pond, in the garden. So yeah, this one is really, really great. This is a little box that's not part of this, and here are some books that I haven't read yet, so I want to remember that I want to read them soon. Here after them, these are books I already showed you in my book haul. So Nuclear Family by Kate Davies, Why Fish Don't Exist, End of Drawn Time, Crooked Plow, I want to read it in English, The Axis, Talking at Night, and Earthlings. And then this is like about the First World War. It's an A to Z, so there are some terms in there. It's almost like a dictionary. So yeah, the Poetry Handbook, Dictionary of Terms. Catherine Brundle, Why You Should Read Children's Books Even Though You Are So Old and Wise. This is such an amazing tiny book. I got this ages ago, but I completely agree with her. Peter Rabbit, Paddington. I'm a major Paddington fan. Look at this, How to Be More Paddington, something we should all strive towards. And some books in French. Very British Problems. I actually got this as a gift, but it's quite funny. So I'm going to show you my French selection, and then we're done for the day. Okay. Le Flair du Mal by Baudelaire, L'étranger by Camus, La Chute by Camus, Les Trois Mousquetaires by Dumas. And then we have Le Dernier Jour d'un Condamné by Victor Hugo. We have La Mélodie de l'amour et la mort de Cornette, Christophe Rilke. And then La Vendetta by Balzac. And some poems by Verlaine. This I actually got at a second-hand bookshop in Chile, of all places. Interesting, huh? Well, I do have some books in Spanish, but they are all the way there, so let's pretend like they don't exist for the purposes of this video only. So this was book haul part 2, contemporary fiction. As I said, there are a few more here, which are like YA and romance, and this is me as a very young girl. Yeah, this is Mary Poppins. So I'm going to show you this one and that one in the next video. If you're interested at all, please let me know. Let me know if you enjoyed this. It's always a bit chaotic. I need a wireless mic because my cats keep on trying to munch on the one that I do have. So that's not a good idea. So thank you for watching. Let me know what kind of content you would like to see in my channel. Someone asked me to record one talking about my relationship with English, and I'm going to record that, worry not. So yeah, okay, have a lovely day and see you all very soon. Bye bye.